It's 1 year since the passing of the man affectionately called Mayor for Life, Marion Barry. And in this season of giving, one of the cornerstones of his legacy continues in Ward 8. Washington Full Circle starts right now. Welcome to Washington Full Circle. I'm Furman Patterson. D.C. residents line up in Anacostia for the traditional Ward 8 turkey giveaway. As many remember Marion Barry, the council member who began it. Valikia Newsom speaks with them about his legacy of giving to those with the least.
I'm here with Council Member LaRuby May, and this is a long-standing tradition here in Ward 8. And of course, this is a special day because this is the 1 year anniversary of course, our former mayor and former council member for Ward 8's death, Marion Barry. So just talk about that tradition here and this turkey giveaway.
Well, you know, one of the greatest privileges in life is to serve, and that's one of the examples that Mr. Barry led. And so today we get an opportunity, very grateful to be able to serve and to make sure that the residents of Ward 8 have an opportunity to share with their families and to feast for Thanksgiving.
And we've got, from what I hear, over 3,000 turkeys. I know last year it was 3,000 turkeys, over 40,000 pounds of vegetables. So just talk about that immense number of food that we're giving away here.
Well, you know, we're very grateful. We have partnered with the Allen Chapel Food Pantry, who's been a great partner, been serving residents every week in the ward. And so today, you're absolutely right, we're going to serve over 3,000 turkeys. We're going to serve 50,000 pounds of the produce. And it's just, again, just such a great opportunity to share in the spirit of Thanksgiving with the residents of Ward 8.
And of course, like I said, this tradition was started by late Marion Barry. But talk about that legacy that he left here. He was a man who his whole life was about giving back to his community. So just talk about that.
Well, you know, people say, you know, you got big shoes to fill in being the council member to replace Mr. Barry. And I tell him, well, you know, the part of his legacy that I want to fulfill is his passion and his compassion for our people, for black people, right, for the residents that we represent in Ward 8. And again, it's just such a great feeling to be here today on the 1 year anniversary when he left us, to continue a legacy, to make sure that we're honoring him in the way that he deserves.
And it's almost like he passed the torch off, right? You know, he died, he passed away a year ago, right around the time he would do that, but he passed the torch right on to you. And I'm going to just take a pause for a second. We see this picture here. Let me hand that to you. We see that picture there, if you can show it to the camera, of you. It's like you're bridging the gap. You with our former mayor and former council member. Tell me about that picture.
Well, you know, so I worked for Mr. Barry in 2005 and 2006. And it's really funny because today my office is Suite 400 in the Wilson Building. When I was his intern, I was in the back room in Suite 400. And today I sit in the big room in Suite 400. And so just being able to, you know, I learned a lot from Mr. Barry, able to continue the legacy. And again, it's about serving the people. And Mr. Barry was one of the best at serving people.
So what is one of the memories that you have? I know you said you used to intern for him. So what is one of your memories when you think of our former mayor and former council member? What do you think of?
Well, you know, there's so many, right? Like there's so many. But, you know, now as the council member, I have an appreciation where he used to come in like on Tuesday morning and say, I want 5 pieces of legislation drafted. And you're like, before 10 o'clock. But, you know, he was just such a thinker and you know, trying to follow in his footsteps and being as well knowledge in the budget process. But you know, one of my favorite things to do with Mr. Barry was to eat. He loved to eat. It was always an experience to break bread with Mr. Barry. And so, you know, whether or not it was at Georgina's or one of the places in Ward 8, just again, you know, I really miss him. Very grateful, very humbled to be the council member to supersede him.
Yeah. And so talk about, again, all these turkeys you're giving away. We see the steady stream of people coming inside. I know they're grateful, and there's a lot of gratitude here. What is some of the feedback that you've been hearing from people? Oh,
you know, more than hearing things, I feel it. I'm getting great hugs, great smiles. People are very appreciative. People are saying thank you, and, like, that's it. Because really, the thanks is for me. Like, the opportunity to serve them, to make sure that we're getting this for their families is more than enough. And again, you know, just very humble, very grateful by every smile, every hug, every opportunity to serve.
And we talked a little bit earlier. I asked you, I said, you're native Washingtonian? You said, nah, not really. I've been here 20 years. That's close enough. Yeah, whatever. I see you out here taking selfies with everybody, all your constituents. I love that. That's such a hands-on, just down-to-earth approach. So tell me about your constituents.
Hey, you know, I have the best constituents in the city. Now, there may be some other council members that, you know, want to argue with that. But again, I believe, you know, Ward 8, we have I believe probably the largest population of native Washingtonians. People love, everyone you see in Ward 8 they love Ward 8. And what I tell people all the time is, in Ward 8, the residents of Ward 8 want the same thing every resident across the city. We want safe neighborhoods. We want great schools for our kids. We want, we want grocery stores. We want restaurants. I mean, my job is to fight to bring those resources to Ward 8.
Yeah. And we have a bunch of volunteers here from all across, every walk of life, all over the city. So tell me about pulling those volunteers together now that you've taken this over.
Well, so I promised I'd give a shout out for the gentleman of George Washington Carver to a group of African American men at Howard University. I met them last week, and they're like, we want to help in Ward 8. What can we do? I said, meet me at 4 a.m. at Malcolm X School, and they showed up about 20 deep today. And so, but that goes to show just a commitment across the city of African Americans who want to come and give back to the African American community. But we have the Marine Corps, we have the Coast Guard, we have Allen Chapel Church brought volunteers, there's some of our government agency partners who brought volunteers. And so, again, people have good hearts. We just have to direct. The Mission First came out and helped us out. So, we just got to provide opportunities for people to share.
Well, council member, I really thank you. I'm so glad that you carried on this tradition. My memory of our council member was getting my first summer youth job. We talked about that last year on Washington Full Circle. But, I want to talk to one of our volunteers over here from the Coast Guard, Mr. Brian McSorley from the U.S. Coast Guard. Now, tell me, what's your position there in the Coast Guard?
I'm a commander in the Coast Guard and the vice president of the Officers Association.
And so you're here with a big group of men and women serving from the Coast Guard. What is your role here today?
Well, we brought about 60 folks over today to join the Coast Guard in passing out turkeys to the neighborhood. It's a great opportunity for us to serve our local neighbors in the ward and really give back to a community that's been so great to us for the last year and a half since we've been over on this side of the river.
Yeah. And how long have you all been involved in this? I know this is a long-standing tradition.
Right. The Coast Guard's been involved in this for a number of years, but the Officers Association really took this up as one of our main projects a year and a half ago once we came over from TransPoint.
And so what are you all doing here exactly? What can we find you doing today?
Well, we were stuffing bags with turkeys. Now we're filling up vegetables and passing out turkeys and vegetables to the community as they come in.
Yeah, and I see people greeting some of the residents as they come in. Everybody seems like they're in good spirits.
Well, it's also a great opportunity to get out and meet your neighbors. I mean, we're the new kids on the block over here, but it's a great welcoming community, and we've had nothing but a great experience since we've been here.
And so you all are going to pretty much be here for the full day, throughout the day?
We'll be here for the bulk of the day, yes. Yeah.
Okay, so we thank you for your service, of course. And of course, serving today in this long-standing tradition in Ward 8, started by our late Ward 8 council member, Marion Barry, and now taken up, of course, bridging the gap with our new council member, LaRuby May, who's filled the shoes and taken on so greatly the role of council member in Ward 8. So we appreciate everyone here today, and it's a good day.
Up next, a longtime Washington journalist who shares many of her stories about Mayor for Life Marion Barry and what his legacy means today. Washington Full Circle will return in just a moment. Welcome back. Marion Barry's annual turkey giveaway was about more than free turkeys. It marked the start of a season of giving in D.C., but it also allowed Barry to focus the city's attention on those with the least. Deborah Simmons of the Washington Times joins us today. Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Furman.
Now,
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Now, you covered Barry a lot during the years, and of course,
did I?
yes, of course, you knew about these turkey giveaways. We know how the residents responded to them, but how did the media cover these things?
The media would be out there. There's no doubt about it. We wouldn't necessarily be within the confines of a comfort of an elementary school. There were many a time when we were standing in line. I know I was out in Barry Farms, lined up with the folks, talking to them, and watching Marion Barry interact, because you know he was a people's person, a people's politician. And he wasn't afraid of them. They weren't afraid of him. There would be generations of them that would thank him for something that he had done decades ago, as a matter of fact, because he had been in politics in Washington that long, you know, between this Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. He would be here with Rap Brown. He would be here with Stokely Carmichael. He was here when the March on Washington was here. And as always had begun calling Washington home way back then.
Now, why did you think he decided to give turkeys? You know, use the holidays to do this, but why do you think he chose that?
It sort of bridges that traditional cultural gap of what we think Pilgrims and Indians were doing in eating turkey way back then, and feeding the hungry and the homeless. There's so many people here in the District of Columbia who are hungry each and every day. And he was able to work with not only his constituents, but work with the churches and the ministers and the pastors in the city, and knew that feeding people, feeding souls one way in church, and literally feeding souls with food was the way to go. And a lot of politicians around the country started doing it, some before him and many after him, as a matter of fact.
Now, Mr. Barry had a vision, and it was for helping seniors, for bringing development to his area of the city. Right. But tell us about some of those things to reach out to seniors.
Well, here's the thing. I think largely due to who Marion Barry was and how close he was, and knew that growing up and becoming the politician that he did, there had to be a bridge between the older people and the younger people. And as a college student at Lemoyne and so forth, when he was with SNCC and with the civil rights movement, he knew that his generation was that bridge, and he never forgot that, as a matter of fact, and always made sure that young people and seniors were taken care of.
And taking care of young people one way was his signature program, the Summer Youth Employment Program, which he started in D.C. long ago.
A long time ago, in the 60s, as a matter of fact. He and his then wife, Mary Treadwell, started a small business called Pride. And what he would do was go out into the neighborhoods, tell young people, this is your space, this is your home, this is your responsibility. Keep it clean and keep it respected. So a lot of that generated with simple public works jobs, government contracts, but simple government works jobs. And he's kept that program alive after he became mayor with the Summer Jobs Program, where he would try to make sure, I always wanted to get one of those jobs, but my dad was like, no, girls, teenagers don't work. So I didn't. But it's important now, because you can go back 3 generations and find D.C. residents, Prince George's County residents, Ward 9 residents, and school teachers and principals and police officers and firefighters who are still serving this city, who were very grateful for those types of programs.
Now, we talk about Barry's legacy as far as starting this program, but now it's named after him.
Yeah.
So tell us about
That's cool. You know what? I think a lot of people really appreciate that, and I want to thank Christopher Barry. His gorgeous son was there at the time of the signing when Mayor Muriel Bowser signed that legislation. But what I'm hoping for, quite frankly, is something that's far larger than that. You can give an agency or program a name, but we need something. We've got a Berry Farms, we've got a Berry Place. We need something that's far more long-standing and appreciative that connects not only his mayoralship here in the city and his years on the council, but his education, because he was president of the school board.
Right.
So I'm hoping UDC, the city gives UDC, our university, the city's land-grant university, some money to start a Marion Barry political scholarship. You know, he was a political genius. We didn't like some of the stuff he was doing on the side, and he went to jail for it, and we understand all that. But he was a political genius, a political master, not a fly-by-night like a lot of other politicians and gadflies are on the scene, but he was a true political scientist.
And very quickly, what will you miss most about Marion Barry? What do you miss most?
What I miss most is the one-on-ones we would have. There were times he would give me, and I grew up in Ward 8 mostly, where he would take me, sit me down in the Jag and take me around Ward 8 and show me what he's going to have done, what needs to be done, what the real Ward 8. And the vision that's now is becoming a reality with a lot of the economic development changes that are going on there.
Classic Marion Barry.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Washington Full Circle. We'll be right back as we remember Marion S. Barry and the spirit of giving. We'll be right back after this. So how often do you do the radio show?
Every Monday.
Every Monday.
Sometimes if we have a full studio, and sometimes it's a women's issue about something, and they're short on space, so I don't have to go in. Right. You know, I never realized how much work it takes to do a show. Every day, every Monday. And whatever time you have to be there, I mean, sometimes I wake up on a Monday and I say, oh, God, I wish I didn't have to go. You know, it's like people say, oh, I hear you on radio, but it's a whole lot before you get on radio.
Right.
It's like for to see you on TV, it's you have to have learned something, you have to be able to talk about something, you have to know your subject matter. Right. It's a bit.
It's not as easy as it seems.
It's not.
From the outside looking.
you know that. Oh, much more than I did. When she called and said, Chuck, I need you to co-host. I said, oh, yeah, no problem. And then, sometimes Johnny can't be there. So she said, next week or 2 weeks, I'm not going to be there. So you need to do the show. What do you want to do it about? It? This is an idea. And so then you got to do something. Sometimes I do a lot of labor stuff. I was president of the union for the city, and I'll bring in Bill Lucy or Josh Williams, whatever, and issues about that and whatever's happening. Okay. Sometimes, like World AIDS. We do 150 families. We're going to do 100 out of Ward 7 and 8.
Yeah.
And so it's just
So it's still called the
Bread for the Soul.
Bread for the Soul. Okay.
Yeah. We do it we do the party, and then the Saturday before Christmas, we deliver the toys and the food, books and food. Yeah.
Great.
And it's an interesting niche because it kind of bring in people and let them make the deliveries to see the difference. And while we do it, we never.
Complicated tasks. Crewmate Mikhail Kornienko has spent much in the
I go back down to the bottom.
You ready? Okay.
Just walk up to her and ask.
Sure.
Okay, we're gonna get the interview now.
Okay.
Come on in.
Mayor Bowser.
Hi, how are you, dear? Good to see you. I'm Muriel.
Yes, I got it. Definitely.
Welcome back. We're now going to go to Ward 8, where Mayor Muriel Bowser has joined Valikia Newsom in the turkey giveaway.
He meant a lot to our city. He meant a lot to Ward 8, but he would want me to say that his legacy spreads certainly here in Ward 8, but through all 8 wards of the city. I'm very happy that Councilmember May is walking and living in that tradition and producing a very robust Thanksgiving Day for the residents of Ward 8.
And what are you getting? I saw you just talking to some of the people here. So what are you getting from them and their feelings about today?
Well, I always want to be able to check in with folks to tell they can tell me better what is needed out here in each and every neighborhood, how we're doing, what we can do better. I was just asking a young lady about our Metro ride.
So, and later on today, we're going to hear an announcement about legacy.
Well, sure. So I commissioned a group to work on how the city should honor Marion Barry. Certainly right after his death, we got a lot of recommendations, and I thought it would be good if there was a thoughtful process, and I expect to receive their report this evening.
Well,
thank you.
So much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Valikia. Welcome back. As I said, Mr. Charles Hicks is someone committed to the spirit of giving to those in need. He's founder of Bread for the Soul, which provides holiday relief for families living with HIV/AIDS. He's also president of the Black History Awareness Committee. Thanks so much for joining us, Mr. Hicks.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, as we've seen, the turkey giveaway was one of the programs Mr. Barry was well known for. But you've been around, you've known him for years, you've seen a lot of the charitable things that he's done in the city. Tell us about them.
Well, I think that the mayor was very conscious of all the needs of people in the city, in particular all the seniors. He made an extra effort to make sure that seniors were taken care of, and not just seniors who were in Ward 8 or Ward 7 or whatever, but seniors period. Whether you were a senior with a half a penny or a senior with entire penny, he provided some services for seniors that you deserve because you were a senior. And then I thought he took a courageous step in this fight for HIV and AIDS, perhaps at a time when probably nobody else in the city was in the country was as brave as he was about looking at this epidemic and how it was affecting African Americans and what we needed to do to address that. And he was a major fighter for HIV and AIDS in the city, particularly for African Americans, because in this city, Washington, D.C. has had the unfortunate record of having more African Americans with AIDS than any place else in the country. And he's been just steadfast about how we could save lives, how we could improve lives for people who were living with AIDS, how we could extend those lives. And he was just very, very sensitive to that whole movement. And I even chaired his HIV/AIDS Awareness Committee, which was an advisory commission to the mayor about for the things that could happen in the city for people with AIDS.
Now, you're also responsible for one of your own programs that deals with HIV/AIDS families. Tell us about your charitable group.
We're called Bread for the Soul, and for 20 years or 21 years, and the mayor certainly was supportive of this, we do a fundraiser the first Friday in December, and we get new books and new toys for children with AIDS and parents of children with AIDS and people of color for Christmas. And I just thought that, and one of the things that we do is that we give new toys and new books. Sometimes we get calls and people say, "Oh, come over, I got all these toys my grandchildren used to have," and I say, "We'll take them another time, but for Christmas, kids need to feel that they're important, that they know if whether or not it's a new toy or a used toy." And so, and also reading, education is important. And if you give a kid during Christmas a book as part of his toy as a present, he's going to take that book, he's going to read it, he's going to look at it. And so we pull together a whole group of food, and we raise funds for that. And then we deliver to the families. We work through different agencies and through individuals, and we then bag up and deliver toys and books and food to families. And we're very conscious to not infringe on people's privacy. And so we simply say we're here to deliver a holiday package for the family. But we know that there are so many families living with family members who might not be aware of their condition. Still in the African American community, it is not an easy task, easy situation to have HIV/AIDS in the African American community.
Now, quickly, you and Mr. Berry shared civil rights activist background, so you knew about serving the community, giving back. But how do you get young people to develop that spirit of giving?
You know, I think one of the things that we have to realize, even young people and all of us, and just because you used to give when you were younger doesn't mean you can't do now. And I think that you have to find a niche. There has to be, and giving means a lot of different things. Sometimes giving simply means knocking on your neighbor's door and saying, Miss Brown, you need me to go to the store for you? That's all you need to do to give. Everybody can't do a big project. Everybody doesn't need to do a big project. Sometimes you just need to be conscious of helping somebody in your neighborhood, knocking on a door, helping a little kid. Come here, Junior. Let me talk to you.
Right.
Where you going? Come on, I'll go with you. Let me walk you across the street.
Well put.
You know, there's so many little things.
Thank you so much. That's the perfect explanation. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
That's it for Washington Full Circle, and thanks to our guests for joining us, and thanks to you at home for watching. We'll see you again next time.